What's up, everybody? Look, y'all know who I am. I go by the name of Gabriel Ori, and this is my co-host, business partner.
What's up, everybody? JR, how y'all doing?
Look, man, this is another Friday, and we are so amped for this one that we got tonight. But before we get there, JR, how was your Friday, bro? How was your day?
My day was pretty good, man. I'm a whole lot better from last Friday. As you know, I was a little rough, but hey, today's a better day, so good.
I feel like we did a tag, like you tagged me, and now I'm like sniffling and trying to go through that whole thing, man. But yeah this day, I saw you practicing too.
Yeah, some wedding gigs.
Wedding gigs, I got you, man. So listen, y'all, share this video. I want you to tag entrepreneurs, tag people that's in that field, leaders, tag leaders, tag people that just, they're doers. They're not just talkers, they're doers. They're filled with power. They push the needle to that next level. They impact communities. Share this video because we have a very special, near and dear to my heart guest in the green room, in the back room. And listen, I'll tell you know what, when she comes on, I'll let her tell. But listen, we have hailing from Augusta, Georgia, the one, the only, I call her the social light of Charleston, Miss Kenya Dunn.
You hit the crowd button.
Right?
Oh yeah. Boom. We're gonna have that crowd button on deck. What's up, Kenya? How you doing?
I am doing well. How are you?
We're well, Kenya. You look very vibrant over there. Your background is popping.
I feel
like we're in the month of February. This Black History. I feel like those colors are popping.
I appreciate it. This is kind of my sacred space. It is my office, but I am such a lover of words and books. And so when I'm in this space, I am like in my zone. So that's what you're getting.
I was going to say that. I see all the books in the back. I can tell you like to read.
I do.
So listen, I know I gave you a little soft introduction, just really light, but why don't you introduce yourself to our platform?
Yeah, first, I just want to say thank you to you, Gabe and JR, for inviting me to be a part of this conversation. But my name is Kenya Dunn, and I did hear you say that I am hailing from Augusta, Georgia. I also consider Charleston my home. So I am actually in Charleston, South Carolina. I've been here since 2007. So it's been a while. I am, on most days, I'm a Kamya. Sometimes I'll allow people to say I'm a Binya. But I am actually, today I sit before you as the founder and creator and visionary of the Power Tribe, which the Power Tribe is a community that was created by women of color with women of color leaders in mind. And so that really leads to my passion and my career, which was leadership. So I actually came to Charleston as a part of my career. I used to work for a wireless company. When that wireless company went through an acquisition, I got asked to move here for a career opportunity. And I was a leader. I was the most highly visible, highest ranking African-American woman in that organization. Pushed big numbers, made a lot of profits for the organization. But the one thing that I knew that I loved and that I am gifted at is developing leaders and producing leaders, right? Pun intended. So when I left corporate America, I decided to do what I felt like God was really calling me to do, which was create a sacred space so that women of color, as they step into leadership roles, they understand and know that they belong there, but they also have the skills and the capacity to step up to the plate, to the challenge of leadership, and also stay in what can sometimes be pretty tumultuous times for us when we get in what I call high impact, high visibility roles. So that's what I'm doing today. I'm an executive coach. I work with all leaders at various stages of their career, but my gift and my expertise is really first and second generation women of color who are stepping into high visibility, high impact roles, whether that be in government, whether that be in corporate America, whether that be as an entrepreneur with a community focus. I call myself the Black woman leader's secret weapon.
Wow. And so go ahead, JR.
So
we got a lot of questions.
So how is that journey, just leaving the 9 to 5, your corporate world, into your dream, your vision? Was that
What was God's dream? Let me just
okay?
go ahead and say that.
Right.
It definitely was not mine. It is mine now.
Pass it on.
Yeah. The journey was tumultuous, but rewarding, right? This is year 3 that I've been out of corporate America. And I remember as 2023 was ending, and I always do a lot of prayer and meditation just to set the tone for the new year. And I remember very distinctly going into this total praise moment of really truly understanding what the elders would always say when they say, I don't look like what I've been through.
Mm.
Because
Yeah.
to journey out of a structure of a 9 to 5 and then to have to build all structures as an entrepreneur and to build your own company, your own brand, like what you do is it, was certainly a tumultuous journey, but rewarding. And I'm grateful and I wouldn't trade it for the world.
Wow.
Now, Kenya, I want to back up really quick. So now you said a whole lot coming out, and I hope the audience is what she's putting out there. I hope y'all picking up what she's putting down. But I want to tell them really quick how we got connected.
Yeah.
It was 2020.
Mm-hmm.
The pandemic was out on fire, and we had a mutual friend named Dia.
Yeah.
Right at the time, Dia Patterson. And Dia, I was doing recording with Dia with her Power Push podcast.
Mm-hmm.
And look, sidebar, I see why she calls her podcast Power Push, because when I met you and yours is Power Tribe, I was like,
Umbrella.
I see it. I see the umbrella. I was like, oh, Kenya is like the umbrella, and I see all of these little pockets of like just influences from Kenya. I was like, wow, Kenya is just this person. So like when Dia connected us, we did a virtual Power Tribe, or at the time Power Filled Women.
Listen, I'm so grateful for you still to this day.
And from that point we connected, and it was so funny because I told Kenya, I was like, listen, Kenya was like, when I saw Kenya in the way that you operated with everybody that was doing things, I just saw structure, I saw organization, organized, I saw preparedness, plan. I was like, man, who's this person? I gotta get in with this person. And I thank God that we kind of connected from there, and the rest is history. So my hat's off to you. I've always admired you from afar, and I understand the level of influence that you bring. Because you're a wealth of knowledge, you're a gem of knowledge. And so, speaking of knowledge, where did that come from? Like in your early childhood, did you witness, like growing up, your parents had the entrepreneur spirit? Where'd that come from?
Well, no, actually. That's a great question that I've spent a lot of time over the last 3 years, like trying to find the answer, because I never once saw myself as one day having my own company. And I am really beyond the title of an entrepreneur. I have an entire organization that I am building and that I'm running. And so I didn't see it in my immediate with my mom or my dad, but I will say that what I did see from my mother, so my father was absent in my life, so I grew up with my mom. What I did see though is I saw structure, I saw discipline, I saw commitment. My mom's commitment tips to conviction. And so that was like a constant in my face, without choice. And my mother's a very strong presence, but she doesn't force anything on anybody. She's never forced anything on myself or my brother. She just kind of leads by example. And so when I think about the structure and the discipline, I definitely saw an example of what it looked like. So to be able to then use that in both my career and corporate America, I mean, to be able to climb the corporate ladder so fast with having a full-fledged family and small children, that took structure, that took discipline, that took all of the things too. I mean, I spent 5 days on planes for 6 years with children. Wow. And so that it really didn't come from entrepreneurship per se, but it definitely came from the home.
That's very important.
And see, yeah, and I can see like the way that you're raising your children. It's kind of, it's like the apple doesn't fall far. Now, I had the pleasure of meeting your mom at one of your events.
Yeah.
And like you said, like the presence is there, you know. So having a company like you have, and you have many different departments or different spheres of categories of people who kind of help to put that team together to run that. First question, or first part of it, how did you go about finding your team to be able to do that? How'd you come to trust those people to do what they do? And secondly, how do you manage or navigate just the rigorous schedule that could come about, especially having a family, kids, you know, husband? How do you do that?
Well, I'll start by saying Google Calendar.
Good answer.
It is the answer. I always tell people whenever I have clients or even people who are a part of my team that tell me what's important to them, I always say, show me your calendar and I'll show you what's important to you. Because if it's not on the calendar, it's not happening for me. It really helps to even keep my children structured. I mean, my children are young adults now, but it even keeps them structured on where their mother is and what might be going on with their activities and who's going to take them where. So for us, it was the United Connected Google Calendar. So all of our calendars could sync and we can see everything as far as structure. And then the other part was soliciting the help of my support system. So I had friends who had bandwidth to be able to fill in the gaps for me. I wasn't always able to be at every little thing that my children did. And so I had to have, you know, I had to have some fillers, right? Some people to be present for them. Now, the other question you asked me about how did I pick my team or how do I pick my team? Yeah. When I'm really clear about the vision I have for the work I'm going to do or that I'm doing, right? So the impact I want to make. And when I think about impact, it's more than just the outcome, but it's the experience along the way to the outcome. And so I feel like I can teach you if you were to work for me or with me, how to get us to the outcome. But the experience of what people go through to get to the outcome takes a special kind of person. And that's really where I turn my attention on the selection process of who to join my team. And so you don't have to think like me. As a matter of fact, I've been asked many times, am I trying to create or do I only bring people around me that are like me? Well, no, I don't. I actually like to bring people around me who have similar characteristics like tenacity, like dedication, like commitment. But you don't have to be Kenya because there's only one Kenya. And so I look for someone who has the drive and a person that's open to learning, right? Being open to learning is super important to me because sometimes I might change course halfway and I need somebody that's going to be able to pivot as necessary.
Gotcha. So now I know that we can all see that this is a beautiful Black woman, African-American woman. And I heard you say earlier, Kenya, that you are really focused or are driven to help our Black American women in what they do. How important is that to you? and what inspired you to want to go that path to specify, Black women?
Well, I hope you got a few minutes because it's a bit of a story, but I'll tell
Go
you
ahead.
that um, let me start out by saying this. The fact that I focus my attention, or have, and it's not even focusing my attention, I've developed and built my expertise around meeting the needs of women of color, in particular, Black women in leadership positions. Does not mean that I don't work with others, and does not mean that I don't think others can be developed as leaders. What it does mean is, the truth is that I have experienced as a Black woman leader and seen it in others, to where we don't have the support. We don't have the structured support that we need in order to be highly effective. And that's the goal. For me, it's not just let me walk alongside you. It really is let me make sure that you build tenacity and resilience and confidence, and really stand rightfully, squarely in your power, in the spaces that you've chosen to stand in. And that is something that we just don't have. There are not a lot of resources available to us. And what inspired me really was my own career. When I did leave corporate America, it was a divine moment in my life. And so when I left, I had really bad grief leaving a corporate career. I mean, I always saw myself in corporate America. I loved corporate America, and so I had to have a little time with God, because he wasn't having no time with me. I was having time with him. And say, for real, all right, why did you? I don't know about this. Where I want to be is over here. And what it boiled down to is, God just told me. He said, everything that you did in corporate America, and I'll talk about that in a minute. He said that was just practice for the game.
Wow.
And what I did in corporate America is, when you're the only, and you're highly visible in a company of, over 40,000 people.
Wow.
And you're always on TVs or the internet, or right, you become kind of this icon. And what I found myself in that responsibility of being an icon is, I took up the mantle of mentor. I took up the mantle of coach. And whether it was a text message, whether you worked in my organization or not, if you were reaching out to me, I made time for you. And I was getting that from all women, even men. Wow. But what I found very unique to particularly Black women and Latino women is their confidence was lacking when I would teach them or show them how to move forward. And so I found myself spending more time with them to develop their skill set. And what I realized very quickly is that there was this relief for them, because when they were interacting with me, they finally felt seen. They finally felt understood and not judged, and just being able to be mentored and coached from right where they are without judging. And so that is what I know that God was telling me, that was just practice for the game. I needed to create a space where women of color could come to be their whole authentic selves as leaders, to really lean into and tap into who really God created them to be. I'm not giving you anything God gave you. I'm just creating an opportunity to bring it out of you, so that you can lead. So that's where it comes from.
So I heard mentor. I know we spoke off air before we started, or maybe it was on air, and you mentioned that you mentor, Black women, and to become better speakers or whatever with TED Talk. Now, was TED Talk something that you was doing while you were working, or that's something that after you left the 9 to 5, when you expand into doing that?
Actually, so yeah, with TED Talk, I coach anybody. Okay. I became a part of the coaching, the speaker, what we're called our speaker coaches. Gotcha. When I left corporate America, and it was a mentor of mine that actually said, you really need to do this, because I'm a distinguished Toastmaster. I've gone through all of that very early in my career, and public speaking in front of people, giving talks, telling stories is something that comes very easily to me. And so I went on the journey to kind of find out more about how I can support speakers in telling their stories on the TED stage. And I love it. We're in the middle of the third year. This
Wow.
year I'm coaching 5 people,
Wow.
which is
Wow.
the most that I've had in any TED year. And the reason I love it is because I really get to help people who have something, an idea worth sharing, right? That's the TED. It's an idea worth sharing, but help them shape it in a way that is representative of a TED talk, right? That it's
Mm.
entertaining and that it hits a point of resonance with the crowd so that they can do something different, appreciate something new, and so on and so forth, which brings me a lot of joy.
Wow.
Wow. So listen, speaking of joy, it's a joy to have Kenya on this platform with us on this podcast. Share this video. We're going to take a quick break, but when we come back, we're going to dig into what Kenya has going on right now and what the future looks like for Miss Kenya Dunn. We'll be right back after this.
Because a lot of times we box ourselves in, and I think Q talked about that earlier today about living in this box. And sometimes the box is the box of other people's expectations. Sometimes the box is the box of culture. Sometimes the box is the box of family, right? But it's a box nonetheless. And what I admire about you two is that despite the box, you decided to be true to what you wanted to do.
And we're back. So listen, we're back with the mighty Miss Kenya Dunn. So glad that she's here with us. And before the break, we said that we're going to dig into where Kenya is currently at and where she's going. But before we get there, Miss Kenya, I got a question for
Yeah.
you. I know we spoke about, I know you didn't say the word, but the outline or the definition was kind of there, and that's prioritization. How do you prioritize what's uh important from what's not as important in the moment that you're trying to do something?
So there are a few different things that I use to stay focused on the goal. And the one that I'll share is one that I actually teach inside the Power Tribe and it is I have a personal ecosystem.
Mm.
And so a personal ecosystem is exactly how it sounds, right? Each of the individuals serve the whole, and the whole is me. And so I always, or on a regular basis, and when I say regular basis, it's usually if there's a big life change. So going from corporate America to entrepreneurship was a pretty big life change. I'll go back and reassess my ecosystem. And so what the ecosystem allows me to do is to identify what's of highest importance to me in order to meet my goal. And I am not a compartment I don't compartmentalize well. That is not my first thing that I do. I like to live my life very holistically. I like for people to experience me in congruency. It may not be the same, but it is congruent to who I am in every setting. And so my
Mhm.
ecosystem kind of keeps me balanced on my overall goal, my overall vision. And so I'll identify, like, right now what's on my ecosystem is impact, right? So one of the things is that I must be engaged in work that is of impact to my community, to myself, to me learning something new, to the women who in the power tribe. Like, so impact is one of the elements of my ecosystem. Another element of my ecosystem is self, me, and
Yeah.
everything that comes with me, everything that feeds me, from my spirituality to learning new things, just taking care of myself. Like, it is me. And so that helps me to say yes and no.
Hmm.
So if I get a request to do something, I bounce it against my ecosystem. And if it doesn't serve my ecosystem, which ultimately serves me, then I will refer someone else, or I would just say, I can't, no, I'm not interested in doing it. So that's how I prioritize, and it translates into my business as well. Right, so my business, I call it working career is an element on my ecosystem. So even as work requests are coming in, I am marrying it up against the impact that it's going to be make, right? Will it take away from me taking care of myself, like all of the things, and then I decide yes or no.
Yeah, I like that because we don't know how much time we have on this earth and what we have, what God has given us. We don't have time to kind of just be throwing it all over the place. And so when you
Yeah,
have the right people in place and you got it focused on your task, I like that it keeps you focused.
yeah,
And
yeah.
certain people, certain things that come at you, you're like, nah, this is I would, but no, not at this time because I got other things going on. So
And
I like
listen, it gets enticing, okay? Like,
that.
it gets
Yeah.
really enticing. And that, my spirituality and my spiritual life is a top priority for
Yeah.
me. And so I definitely will sometimes have to go to God and be like, so give me a sign, yes or no, because I want to say yes. Um,
I'm
so
with you.
sometimes it gets really enticing, like the shiny object or the thing that just really strokes the ego. But it's
Yeah.
like that really, I had a speaking engagement in upstate New York for the last 2 years. I've been invited to go and speak. It's a pretty big deal. But the last year when I was there and I stood on the stage and they upgraded me to the main keynote,
Wow.
which was really nice. And they were like,
Wow.
"We want you to come back." But on that stage, I was like, "Oh my gosh! Like, this is not serving any part of what I'm really here to do. It's not serving my ecosystem."
Mm.
And I was
Mm.
dreading when they emailed me, because they always email me in February to set up my May. And I just had to tell them that I
Wow.
was not going to be coming back this year. And that
Wow.
was tough.
I was going to ask that. How hard is it for you to make decisions that may be hard? Like you said, you had to turn down something that you've been doing for the last couple of years, or you may have to let somebody go
Yeah.
Mm.
because they may not be matching. How difficult is that for you?
Yeah. I learned a skill a long time ago that I actually teach every leader that's ever worked for me. And I got, it's this exercise where I say, hey, what I want you to do as a leader is I want you to write down 10 things you want people to say about you when you're not in the room. And this is before you ever really get promoted, or maybe when you just get promoted. I want you to write that down. And these are adjectives.
Mm.
And what that does is it creates this, because in order for people to say what you want them to say, you actually have to be that thing.
Right.
And so one of the things on my list is I want people to say that I am thoughtful. And another thing on my list is that I'm fair. And another thing on my list is that I am upfront. So I'm transparent. And so
Wow.
when it comes to this, people no longer being on my team, I know that I'm thoughtful. I know that I am fair, and I know that I am upfront and transparent when things are not working well. And so it is never a surprise by the time that I have to say, you are no longer going to be a part of this journey with me. It's not a surprise, because I've been very transparent about it along the way. Now the beauty of it is that I also have this dynamic ability to um, honor what's innate to people. And so I've been able to, even in corporate America, I had a career where I inherited every team that I led. I didn't hire most of them. I inherited them, and
Wow.
they were bottom performing teams. And I was able to win in the organization with 90 to 95% of the people that I didn't even hire. And so,
Mm.
what allowed me to do that, which means that I had to let very few people go. What allowed me to do that is my ability to tap into and help you discover what are you really good at? Like, what is your magic? What is your magic? And then get out of the way and let you do the thing that makes you magic, because that is the thing that's going to serve you first, and then in turn serve what I am asking you to do. And so between those two things, they prove themselves pretty successful for me, even with my events. Gabe, you were talking about the event
Hmm.
that where we met, right? Like I had an
Yeah.
event, I had people, you all in Charleston, I was in
Yeah.
North Carolina with the house full. Like I had people in 3 different places that were. My assistant was in Florida, and it was because I trusted the talent and trusted the gift that each person on the team brought to the table. And I didn't try to dictate that. I didn't try to tell you
Mm.
how to work your gift. Instead, I asked questions and I set expectations. But then I trust. If you're still there, I trust that you know what you're doing. And I am also a person that I create space for mistakes. I create space for learning, and for you to fall. I just want you to fall fast. Fall fast. Get up. Let's go. Let's fall fast
Get it out the
so
way.
that we can keep going.
Wait, let's get this learning curve out the
Yeah.
way.
Yeah, let's fall
No.
fast. It's okay. It's okay. Let's go.
Now I know that you are you're doing a lot, and you can't do this all by yourself. And for the things that you're doing, I know your team is pretty massive. How big is your team? How many?
My team is not. It's not that massive.
Wow.
It is, it is small but mighty. So
Wow.
it's actually
Mm.
only a team of 5.
Whoa.
Wow.
And four of the 5 are they're contracts, right? So I contract out
Mm.
their services. But what really makes my work is my support system in my personal life. My friends, my children, my mom, that's really supporting
Mm.
me, that will step in at any moment. Um, so it's not a massive team. Automation. So I have one of my very best friends. She is like, and she always has been. She was the first person I remember. She used to tell me, "Why are you going out shopping when you can do it on Amazon?" I'm like, "I'm not doing no Amazon." Blah blah blah. This is when nobody
Automate
was on
everything.
Amazon, right? So she's a
Yeah.
techie, and so she is like my. She will call me and say, "Hey, here's a new tool that you can automate, that will make your life easier in this way." And so my friends also kind of are always looking out for me, and they know that I'm down for not having to have a heavy lift. And so she's my techie. She'll just call me and
Wow.
teach me how to do it, and it's automated and it's working itself.
Man, that's so awesome. I got one more question, Kenya,
Yeah,
and I know we're a little past the time, but
all
this
is
is just a
well.
lot of it's fruit for me. It's gems. But being that you're the CEO, you are the top of the tops with your company. Um, I alluded to it earlier, and it came back to my mind. In America, I hear a lot of females. You have two things going for you. You're a female and you're black,
Hmm.
and the barriers that set you know to try to navigate that. Like, how do you navigate that? All of those barriers, and you still seem to rise above it. And some people say, "Oh, it's a man's world, and it might be a white man's world, or whatever." How do you take all of that and still seem to rise above all of that?
One, I don't deny that is true, right? And I acknowledge that it really is, like, when we talk about, I've spent the last year and a half since going on this power tribe journey and really leaning into the Black woman's experience. Like, I've been becoming a student of the Black woman's experience around the world for decades. And here in America, like, the black on the social rung, the Black woman is actually at the bottom of the social rung. There's a statistic that I was just looking at the other day about wealth, And I mean like wealth, like your assets minus your debt, like
Yeah.
dollars of wealth.
Yeah.
Black and Latino women hold less than 1 cent, meaning less than a penny
Wow.
of wealth compared to white men. And so when you talk about the conditions or the experiences, the microaggressions and all of those things, one, I acknowledge that it's true. The other thing that I do is I work really hard to be rooted in the power tribe. There are 7 power skills that we nurture. And the first one is identity development. It's foundational. If you become a member of the Power Tribe, you have to go through a session with me on identity development because it is foundational. You must know who you are because that is going to be the thing that you turn to when times get the toughest.
Yeah.
And that's what I've learned to do. I've learned to be really solid in who I am, because being solid in who I am can keep me in a place of love and not in a place of animosity.
Yeah.
It gives me the ability to offer grace when there's necessary. It gives me the ability to confront when I need to, and I don't think of confrontation as a negative thing. I think of confrontation as an opportunity to make things more clear. So if I come to
Perfect.
you to bring up an experience that I had with you, this is an opportunity for us to make it more clear for both of us.
Mhm.
And so that you know that this behavior is no longer acceptable for me. And so that's how I navigate it. And it helps me maintain hope. And one thing that a mentor told me a long time ago, that if you're helping other people rise through the same challenges that you are going through, it helps you not get weighed down by the challenges itself. And that has proven to be true for me. The
Wow.
more that I mentor, the more that I engage with women, like with the women that are in the Power Tribe, and listen to their experiences and help them navigate through, then I am inspired. I am filled with hope and I can keep going. And so I don't really even have the time to get weighed down by the reality of the negativity.
Yeah.
Instead, I'm working toward. And then the other thing I've learned to go to the ancestors. Like, we're not the first ones to go through this.
Yeah.
And there is some resilience that I've been learning a lot from from my mom, from my grandmother, from my aunts, from other older women, that really I'm like, okay, well, first of all, stop acting like it's brand new, because it's not. And if they can handle it,
You can too.
right, being spit at, being slapped at, being doing all these things, like, buckle up, buttercup, you will be okay. And so that helps me.
Yeah. Wow.
That's
That's
great.
great.
So listen, what's next for Power Tribe?
Well, we're actually in open enrollment right now, so I'm super excited. I am so excited how many new members. I cannot wait to announce by the end of this month all of the new members that have joined the Power Tribe. But we've done something a little different this year with, I know when we worked together, when I worked with you, both of you, with the conference, it was called Power Field
Hmm.
at the time,
Yeah.
and now everything is under Power Tribe. So actually, instead of doing one conference this year, we're going on a tour.
Oh,
So it's called the
nice.
Power
Oh, great.
Tour, because it's time to start taking the message
Yeah.
and the teachings and the community of the Power Tribe to other cities. So we have 6 cities that we're going to, between now and the end of the year. And then I'm very excited about an opportunity that I was given in honor of Women's History Month. So last year, I did this event called The Wisdom of Elders. And it's an opportunity to recognize Black women who've been in leadership positions for decades. And we can just honor them, but also sit at their feet and gain wisdom
Yeah.
so that we can be resilient and continue in their legacies. So that's coming up March 16th during Women's History Month. So we're really focusing on ourselves. And I got an amazing opportunity with PBS, South Carolina ETV.
Oh wow.
Awesome.
I'm in a documentary that will come out the day before that,
Wow.
March 15th. It's a tribute to Toni Morrison and the fact that her work centers on the Black woman's experience. So I was selected to be one of 10 women around the state of South Carolina that were selected to be in this documentary. So I'm excited to be in partnership with PBS to hold a viewing of the documentary on March 15th. So that's what I got going on.
That's amazing. Every time I see you, like it wasn't a surprise when I saw you at the chicken and biscuit. I was like, yeah, I figured Kenya be here. She's everywhere. Every time something's going on, I can expect to see Kenya somewhere or somebody that's affiliated with Kenya
Thank you.
somewhere. So listen, we enjoyed you being on the
Thank
pod.
you for inviting me.
And
It's been a pleasure.
yeah, how can you be reached? How can people reach you?
Yeah, so I am on LinkedIn as myself, Kenya S. Dunn. So please join me on LinkedIn. But I'd love for people to follow me on Instagram, and that is Power Tribe Community. So it's at Power Tribe Community, one word. Every Monday, I get on and I do coffee with Kenya, and that's really an opportunity to start your week with inspiration. But you just get to see what we're doing in the community that we're building to serve women of color in leadership, because I do believe that when women of color are cared for, then the world can be cared for. So, like, come on this journey with us, because it's not a journey that we're pushing other people away. We actually believe in the Power Tribe that it is about the male and the female doing this thing together.
Yeah.
And so, like, join us on Instagram and follow along with us.
Great. JR, you good?
Thank you, Kenya, for just blessing us
Yeah.
with your presence. This was awesome. You give me
Thank
that.
you.
You give me that aura of Oprah. Like you have
Hey!
that power. Like it's like I don't know.
That
Yeah,
pull,
that
right?
pull.
That
Like
pull.
yeah. So that's
I received that. And her money. Come on.
all to you.
But listen, y'all, follow Kenya on all of her social platforms: LinkedIn, Power Tribe, Instagram, and just reach out to her. And Kenya, they can. How does one join your Power Tribe?
Yeah, the website. Thank you for asking that. The website is www.powertribecommunity.com. You can go on and find out everything about the Power Tribe. There's even a place to go on and find out more about me and what I do as an executive coach and the work that I do as well. So www.powertribecommunity.com. Go on and you can even message us with any questions that you might have as well.
So y'all heard it first from Miss Kenya Dunn. She is a first time on Ask a Producer with us, but promise you won't be the last.
I look forward to it.
Again, Kenya, we appreciate you. So listen, I'm Gabriel Ori. This is my co-host, business partner,
JR Johnson.
JR, and this is Ask a Producer. So look, we out.